Okay, so we're getting back into it with the LAS-7 Dagger. So I got a number of new reference images, mostly trying to get angles on that cooling cell. So hopefully we'll have a nice view of that from all these new angles and be able to reproduce it fairly accurately. So we're going to go into edit mode here. We're on the right side. And now let's see where to start, where to start. So we got these going, we got this going. Do we? We actually don't seem to have that gap up here. Is that on both sides? Thought we did have that. Well, we do have that gap to a degree. It seems like, oh no, this right here, we do have that gap. Hmm. That's okay. Let's start this thing. So maybe the first thing we'll try to do is this power switch right here. So let's unhide that. And it seems like most of this area is flat rather than having that bit in there like on the other side. So I think that's the first thing we're going to do. So in edit mode here, go ahead and get rid of this whole face. Go into vertices mode so we get rid of the vertices too. And then we'll just flatten that out. In fact, we might as well just get rid of the whole thing. Yeah, we're gonna have to redo these faces. That won't take long at all. And then get this one. Put a face there. And let's see. So that kind of just hooks onto that portion. So it looks like this other space is okay. But let's do something about that switch. So let's go ahead and shift right click to get our 3D cursor over there. And that is a nice flat area. And we're going to shift A to open up a plane, let's say 40 millimeters or so. And then we will rotate that on the x-axis with R and then X, and we'll put that at 90 degrees. And let's scale that down with S, just a little bit, G to grab it. And it looks like maybe it's more rectangular than square, or let's turn off snap for a moment. And it's right about there-ish. But it does seem to conflict a bit with some of the other parts. Seems like it should be under this piece here. Maybe the angle of my picture's a little off. Or maybe this side is a little more different than anticipated. So what I think might be needing to happen is maybe this edge needs to be brought up to here. Let's turn snap back on like so, and then we'll have this over here filled in. I got some internal geometry to get rid of. So get rid of these points. And that's our square there. I think that's surprisingly okay. And we gotta merge these, so let's get auto merge on, snap that on there. Over here as well. seems okay. Alright, so now we should have a little more room to play around with. So let's just move this back over here. And maybe to compensate, we can shrink it just a little bit. It's turning snap back off. A little over here. Then if we made this a flat plane, it might just be a little easier to manage. Let's just get all these and then hit F. Have a nice plane. And these two are overlapping. And we're going to use this as a knife project, so let's pull it out just a little bit. And we'll go ahead and hit P, separate selection, turning that into a different object. And I don't think we need that anymore. Alright, does that diagonal still subsist? It does seem like it does. Alright, so this square has a little room all around it, which I think tracks with our model. So in vertices mode, I'm going to go ahead and hit A to select all. Then I'll right click and bevel these vertices because it's kind of rounded. We'll roll up on the mouse, get some more bevelly points, like so. And then let's extrude. I'm going to go out just a little bit with GY. And then we're going to extrude again. And this one will scale down just a wee bit. Let's put our pivot point at median. So it goes inward like so. And I think we could go down because I don't think this pokes out that far. And then we'll extrude again, scale inward. And then I think from here we can go back down and we'll snap it over here. Right there. Now we can see a little button window. And let's go ahead and hide this for a sec. X-ray and let's pull this in. We can get a better look without moving too far. Let's get it even closer with G and then Y. And it looks like there's nothing over here, but there's like another little inset over there and then the button. So let's go ahead and get that in there. Seems kind of needless, but whatever. So I'm thinking we extrude, scale down a little bit, and then we'll S and then X to thin that out. And then we'll take the whole thing, move it just a wee bit over here. I think we can widen it some. Okay, and then, I wonder if we should make it switchable. I don't remember there being like any use for that switch in game. You can't change like the power settings or anything for this particular prop, so maybe we'll make it static. Because, I mean, what else would it be? Maybe a safety or something? Maybe. Maybe. I think we'll just leave it static. I don't think we're in any danger if we just leave it there. So I'm gonna, maybe we should rise it up, or we should, you know what, I'm just gonna scale it down a bit. And then we'll scale down a little more. Let's expand that so it's a little more even around that edge. And then we'll extrude downward again, or along the y-axis. And then we'll put it back there, just using that point to attach it to. And then we will extrude one more time. one more time, and then make it smaller because this is going to be our actual button. So let's sit that in there. X-ray view, see what we're looking at. It's not bad. It's not bad. I think all the elements are basically there. And then let's extrude again outward along the Y just a little bit. Oh, how much is this? About 0.5 millimeters. That's not bad. It'll be visible, at least. And I was thinking it was like an on-off switch, but I think it actually slides within this little recess. So I'm going to Control Z back, and then I feel like it comes out. But then also has kind of a curved shape to it. I guess for the finger rest. Okay, what we can do about that is let's select both of these, so the entire button, and then we'll go to select, invert selection, and then hide. And then in order to get what I think is happening there, I think we'll do a knife project. So we'll shift right click to get our 3D cursor there. And then I'll get this orientation, and then I will get a mesh for a circle, say 30 mil, and then we'll rotate it along the Y, and then we'll shrink it down, and then we'll stretch it out. And let's click both of these just so I can see what I'm doing here. And in edit mode, I feel like it's kind of sticking out like this, maybe. Let's take it a little over here so I can see that. I feel like it's in, and then it might be outward down here. So let's get rid of all this that we're not going to need. We'll subdivide here. Well, no, I guess not. I don't think we need it to be that smooth. I'll take it back a bit. And then I think subdivide here. Bring this back. And then we'll get rid of these guys. And then we'll kind of curve with E to extrude back this way. And maybe take this back a little bit. Help smooth that out. Let's go ahead and actually smooth that out with the smooth vertices. And I think we'll just continue this one out. So there's plenty of room to project. And then with this in edit mode, we will control left click on that, and then we'll try our knife project, see if that works the way I'd like. We'll cut all the way through. Didn't seem to do a terribly good job. Or did it? Oh, actually it did. Okay. So let's clear out what we didn't need here. That's this face. Click on that. And then we'll collect these two edges. Way up here, I think we can do most of this. Let's not deal with that one just yet. And then we will go into edge mode and bridge those edge loops. So now we have this shape going. I think that looks pretty decent. Let's go ahead and fill in this face manually. And I think there's another one down here. Yeah, let's fill in that manually. Is there something else going on over here? We can just fill that in too. Is that a flat face? It's so small, it's not gonna matter. Okay. So I think that's the look that we're going for that particular switch there. And then, how was I gonna get it on there? Let's go with the main. And then we can, with this clicked on, we can shift left click on this guy and then control J to join the two pieces so they're both on the same object. Then I'm going to hit Alt or hold Alt H to unhide everything. Now we got that. Now all we got to do is get rid of this face. And we can just snap this onto the same plane like so. And then since we're going to have to add some more stuff there, I guess we can leave this kind of open to a degree. Maybe actually we can seal some of this up right around here-ish. Let's go over here, drag that over, and snap it there. Do the same with this guy. And let's connect all these. We're not going to need this one, but these over here. Those, and we got that face on there now. Okay. And I think that's all that was back here. Oh, you're way too close. Pull it back, and yeah, that's all that was back here. So we got our switch. We got the beginnings of it, and the color's off, so I'm going to hit A for select everything, and then Shift N to recalculate those normals. So that's better. Alright, so now maybe we start the main event over here. What is this? Oops. I'm pretty sure that was on the other side too, so no worries there. Okay, so how to tackle this beast. First, let's see how it's attached. Get this upward angle. It's kind of just sitting there up here. So it goes up to one of these lines, I think. Below the sight, of course. Where do we want to put it? Maybe down here? I think maybe here we'll put it. Let's subdivide twice just to remind ourselves. And I did notice we had these little circular bits here, so let's go ahead and take care of those before I forget again. What do we want to do? So let's subdivide twice on this line, and then I'll F3, cursor to active, Shift A, and we'll generate a circle. Say that's 5 millimeters or so. That should be fine. And then we can, actually we're going to need 2 up here, so we can't take up that much room. And since medium point is still our pivot point, we can do this. And then let's, oh, we can just snap it over here, can't we? With Shift D, made another one. And this time let's switch it over to center. That way when we pop it over here, it's at that middle point. And I was going to enlarge it, but I think that's fine. I think that will do. And then we'll just manually create some faces over here rather than knife projecting or something. And let's go ahead and collect all of these vertices. circle select C, and with all those selected, hit F to put in a face there. Let's get these guys. Another F. There we go. And now for this part. So I think it kind of sinks in a little bit. See how far that is. Let's make it 0.5. And then we'll extrude, let's individual origins for this one. That way it's not the median point for both of these. And we can hit extrude and then right click, S for scale. We'll bring it in. Okay, it still seems to be, because it senses them as connected through this. So if we take that off, we should be able to, yeah, go for the center points now. Okay, and then so this is like this. And then this point, I feel like it's kind of rounded, so we'll extrude downward and scale in just a bit. And go ahead and put faces in both of those. And then we'll, with these selected in edge mode, I'll right click, no, not bridge, not bridge, bevel. Create that kind of rounded dimple that I think is present in those bits. I think that is how that is meant to look. And I don't think they protrude. I do think they sink in, so we're not seeing it up there. All right, so back to the cooling cell. Let's start messing around there. So it's a doozy. Let's, So is there much room between the switch and this thing? Not really, just the tiniest bit. But that'll at least give us a starting point. So that's G, X, snap it over here, and then I'm going to move it a bit over. Let's say it's 19.5 over there, so let's say 21.5. Give it 2 whole millimeters. And then we'll put this one over here-ish. I think we have this whole flat area to work with. I'm thinking maybe we should go ahead and put a face here just to make this a nice flat area. I don't think this needs to be there anymore. Dissolve. Get these guys back and put a face right on there. And then maybe like the button we'll do, well, partially like the button, we'll do it separately and then attach it. This time I think knife projecting will be in order once we get kind of the outside of this thing set up. So it comes down and then has this going. So basically a box. And it's almost at the upper ridge there, but not quite. So that'll give us another point to start with. So I'm going to Shift D on these guys, then I'm going to pull them out. I'm going to hit P to separate the selection into its own, and we'll start messing with that. It seems like this will come down to almost here, so I'm going to snap it right there. There, so we got the general size of it. Then it just kind of protrudes, with this side angling up rather sharply. I'm trying to think which part of this comes out. Like, is it just this ribbed bit, or what about these rails? Which part would logically come out? I imagine this kind of caution tape or whatever means that part doesn't move, so maybe it should go in there. So it looks like this whole thing pops out. Might need to go back in game and watch reloads a couple times, but it does look like they're separate pieces because we do have these dividing lines. So maybe that's it. Okay. Alright, so what we're going to do with our box is go ahead and knife project it onto here. Get this guy in edit mode and then control left click and then get that orientation, mesh, knife project. Don't cut through. Just need this side and didn't quite get that, but that's probably because I didn't do the knife through. So let's get rid of this square. And then we'll just cut this one up manually. So right here, let's subdivide twice. And then we'll move this GX, GX, snap it over here. Let's get rid of these faces. And then we'll put in some fresh ones right along here. We lost that one. It's okay. And then there. Okay, so now we have our outline. And then, as we saw, maybe we just get rid of these edges, because we're not going to really need those anymore. Actually, I might want to hold on to that one, because I think this one protrudes upward, or at an angle at least. Upward at an angle. There it is. So maybe that's a little more than 45 degrees. So let's take that out. Turning off auto merge. E, and let's say it's about there-ish maybe? And then it flattens out. Okay, for let's say 6 millimeters. And then it kind of forms a slide, I think, for this part that comes off. Comes out and then goes straight down. But then it looks like it might pop back out a little bit. See, yeah, it does. Has this little curvy bit there. So after angling out, it goes down on about here maybe. Maybe a little above there. Because then we have to have that bit that comes out. Like so. Maybe another 6 millimeters. Close enough. And then that part is rounded. But is that all? Comes out. Then you have this going. So I guess we can round that. Let's go ahead and bevel. Give it a little roundness there. And then it does go down. Down and just kind of goes back in with a flat shelf, which is just fine. So let's extrude downward, and we can snap it here. I feel like this isn't that thick, so I'm going to drag this down. I don't know why 6 millimeters is standing out to me, but that's what I'm deciding this is going to be. And let's actually probably go ahead and close these faces. Let's put a face over here. We can get both of these. Extrude down, snap. Actually, I guess not. Because I got the, I just want the vertices, but it went ahead and got the whole edge, which we don't need. So the vertices there, close that. And close that. And then this line here, could use some subdivisions. And it's creating more faces. I don't think. Control Z before that subdivision. Why you make face? Me don't want face. Just subdivide the edges. Why is it making a face? There's currently no face. It's faceless. Okay, that's kinda weird, but alright. Let's go ahead and make this a whole face then. And do the same over here. Face, and I think we can close this one up as well. So now we got that going. And then in the middle of this, there's like this upward bit. So does that go past the shelf? It does go past the shelf. Where does it go past the shelf though? It looks like it just goes inward. Seems it's just on the edge, like that protrusion. So let's go ahead and subdivide these two twice, and let's go in X-ray mode, see where this is. It's a little wider, so I'm gonna widen this. Let's go median point, S with scale, and then X to widen it on the X-axis like so. And I'll just set that at 30. And then I think it kind of goes inward, doesn't it? For those protrusions. So I'm gonna extrude inward just a little bit. Maybe 2 millimeters. And let's get rid of these edges here. That gets rid of that, but fill that back in. And I don't think those protrusions go downward, just going here, and then they go up and then terminate in there. Is that the part that comes off, or is it maybe these teeth lock into these teeth? So that connection allows whatever power or cooling to happen to exchange in between, or maybe this is a vent because it's a cooling thing. Which makes me question what part comes out again. Because this part seems like it's connected solidly. And it doesn't have any hinges, so this doesn't like come down, so this part could come up. So maybe just this part? It does look more battery-like than anything else. And it does separate itself from everything else with these little ribs. I'll probably have to look at the game some more and just look really closely at reload animations. But we can still get these teeth going. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teeth. So let's divide this up. I guess 16. That way each side has 2, but then we also have these over here. So maybe 18? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many did that thing have again? Oh, my memory is poop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just 8. They have more than enough space, so let's Control Z back again, and then subdivide. Oop, subdivide. Oop. 16. Okay, I hit this thing by mistake. That's why the angle's a little off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, alright, that works. And feel they're kind of wide. So let's get individual origins as our pivot point, S, X, and then we'll fatten these up a bit. We still want a little space in between them, say 0.5 millimeters. Oh my gosh. Come on, it's skipping over it. It's skipping over it. Need you to be precise. There we go. Okay. Okay. And then we can extrude these outward with E and right clicked, G, Y, and we'll snap them right here. And I feel like they're kind of beveled, maybe. Control Z so I can click on all these and just let's get rid of that one up top. I feel these teeth are a little roundish. Say that's enough right there. So they have that look to them. And then we drag them up. Hmm. I just drag this whole section up. C select. Got all those guys. This whole thing? Let's see. It's hard to tell. Actually comes up. Okay, so they have this rim around them. So I guess we'll just focus on the teeth for right now. So let me get this too. Maybe not those guys, but all these guys, and we'll E to extrude, and we will bring them up here. Where that's supposed to be, I think. It's not looking too bad. And then we'll subdivide these to get that rim. Let's get these vertices, and we're on a median point, so we can scale in. And then let's say that's a 3 millimeter border. There. And then we'll take these two, and then we'll go up. Actually, yeah, go up. E, Z, and then we can fill in these faces here. And then I think these go back into this bit. So let's subdivide that twice. We'll take these vertices, put it over here with GX, and then we'll put this one over here, GX again. And this part, guess we don't need it right now. So we want to do this first. How far do those rooms? I think they go all the way up and then they go outward, don't they? So I'm going to hit E to extrude and then GZ to get it up here. Then closing this off, so we can then close, well, close this off. Make sure I didn't click on anything else. Then let's close this off as well. And we're that much closer to our cell. Before I go any further, I'm going to go ahead and watch some animations of the reload so I know which part is actually coming out of this thing. So we'll get back to it in a minute. And if you don't want to go through all this modeling, I do have the STL files needed to print all of my 3D printable props available to supporters over on my Patreon. We currently have over 40 props available and are adding more all the time. This prop will also be made available once it's finished. So if you'd like to skip the modeling and gain access to an entire armory of 3D printable props, check out my Patreon, link in the description. It is only $5 a month and you gain access to the entire armory of over 40 props. Staying a member ensures you get access to everything new added to the armory immediately and of course, very much helps support the channel. Speaking of supporting, we have to show our gratitude to M. John Simon, a real hero of the channel, supporting at the hero tier. Become a hero to get yourself special mention in these very videos, and as always, like and subscribe to ensure you never miss out on the next video. Until then, I have been Ken with Kenjutsu Bring It to Life, and I am out.